how vulnerable it is. I'm not a creative in that way, but I know a lot of creatives, they're very sensitive about their work. They're very sensitive about their craft and the things that they're doing. And to put their stuff out there, it's almost like they post a song and then they just walk away and be like, I can't take it. These are even Grammy winners do this. They're very sensitive about it. And we need to keep that in mind when we look at something that someone has spent their lifetime creating, and then we make a comment on there that's very nasty about it. Like, no, it was a creative process these people went through. Why don't you do something? If you're gonna sit and look at what someone else has done, that they put their heart and soul on, and then they're vulnerable enough to post it, and you bring it down, okay, you come up with something just as creative then. Let that be inspiring. It needs to be in a way where you can give people constructive feedback on their art and not tear them down as a person. I don't look at success with clients based on whether they stay together or not. I can't guarantee, I'm not one of those people. Now, as a therapist, I want people to be together, right? I'm rooting for the relationship. However, I understand that there are moments where you feel like it's ending. And so I help people process where it goes. My job, I feel, as a therapist is to teach people how to have a healthy relationship and to demonstrate to them what it looks like, what healthy conversations look like, what destructive conversations look like, and how to speak to people in a way that's respectful. So that's what I feel like my job as a therapist. Now, it is up to those individuals whether they incorporate it. So I don't know if it's me necessarily that's successful, it's the clients that are successful. The people that I see in my office, in person or virtual office, they're the success stories because I know that I am giving people evidence-based practice. I'm not speaking from off the top of my head. I'm not an armchair therapist. I am not somebody, anyway, I am not somebody that's just gonna have like a few classes or a seminar in how to get along. No, I am a licensed therapist and I operate as one. And so I understand, what healthy looks like and what toxic looks like. And that's what I deliver. Now, it's up to the clients. They're the success story. There are couples that I work with who are committed to staying together, and they actually work on things and make beautiful changes. I'm the catalyst to it. I can't say I heal anybody. Everybody heals themselves. But I can definitely show you the way. I can give you the compass. I can give you the map. But you have to get in the car and drive. I don't think that there should be shame around anybody's background. We should stop attacking shame to things. Yes, if you grew up in a single parent family, that does not mean that you are going to be a single mom. Just because your father wasn't around does not mean that you're going to be a horrible father. I do not like when I hear things when we look at something and we say, oh, it's because they didn't have a father in the home. It's because their mama wasn't this and their mom wasn't that. I don't like that. I think that, yes, there's obstacles in which we overcome, but you don't know that person's real story. You don't know if that person had a place to process what was happening with them, where they can make meaning of the experience and move on as a whole person, or if it's somebody that was just damaged and never had a place to process it. Since I've been certified as a certified trauma specialist, I've been incorporating more trauma-based work in the work that I do with couples. I know that when you're in your current relationship with someone and they say something and it's triggering and you react to that, you're reacting as if you were that person who was hurt whenever that was in the past. You're responding as if you're that. So if something happens to you when you were 8 years old and you go along your life and you're in a relationship with someone, by the way, your relationship with someone else, an intimate relationship, it is not at all the same as your work partner. It's not at all the same as your boss. It's not the same. Your intimate relationship, your partner that you are with, intimacy, that person and that relationship is different from any other. So there is no comparison, by the way. That person triggers you. You're not acting like a 30-year-old. You're not acting like an adult. You're acting like a hurt 8-year-old. And that's something that I want all of us to kind of remember. When you're dealing with somebody and they start being reactive, in that moment, they're not an adult. They are the age of which they were when that trigger is reminiscent of. And so you got to understand, in that moment, you're not talking to an adult, you're talking to that hurt child. And so you should shift, or at least that's what I do. I shift my conversation to a conversation I would have with the child that's hurt and help them process all of that. And then bring it forward, the wounded child, bring it forward to the healthy adult, so that that healthy adult can articulate what's going on with them. And there is no other way a couple can really bond together than to have those very vulnerable conversations with each other. Geez, when you said that to me, you reminded me of what my dad used to say to me when I was younger. And so I'm reacting to that. Could you please next time have more compassion with me? Could you please talk to me in a way that's different? Because it really is really reminiscent of a very painful moment in my life. And when you hear somebody say that, you respond as you would as a child. You don't say, forget it. You don't want to do those narcissistic responses. You want to lean into those moments that your partner is vulnerable with you. You don't want to hurt them further. That's damaging. And so these are the changes that I challenge my couples to make with each other when they're dealing with each other. And once some get it, the ones who don't get it, they're going to be alone. Nobody wants to be with somebody who doesn't care about their feelings. Feelings do matter in intimate relationships. You can't. And then it's so funny because those people, they go on and they have a trail of failed relationships. And then they go out in the world and they blame it on everybody else. Like, what did you do? What did you do to contribute to this? I see you as a common denominator. I don't see enough accountability. We can't say women don't take accountability, men don't take accountability. When you're in a situation and you're pointing the finger, you just need to stop. You need to stop. Clearly, there's a lot of healing happening. I mean, have white people taken accountability for the slavery they've done to us? Have they ever said, wow, what we did to you and what we continue to do to you, that's really terrible? Have they done that? No, they're never going to do that because I don't think that's who they are, really. They're not going to do that, okay? That's a whole nother can of worms there, right? But just recognize it and see it for what it is. But that doesn't mean because white people don't validate us, that doesn't mean that makes us unwhole. You live your life the way you want people to treat you. If you feel like all these people aren't taking accountability, look at yourself and find out where you're not taking accountability. I think that all of us can set the tone for how relationships operate. We all can set the tone. With my children, being Miss Mom, things aren't perfect. I do things to them and say things I probably shouldn't say, but I can always circle back and say, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Children don't expect us to be perfect, right? They expect us to make mistakes and to own up to it. So just set the example in your family. And you know what? What's interesting is that when you start taking accountability for your behavior, that's a very strong response. You can create that synergy in your life. I talk about this a lot. I think that our dominant society is based in whiteness. And in terms of what's held up as masculine, it is toxic.